Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking sports locally and nationally. Join the conversation on our social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome to another edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. I am your host, Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, it's Padawan J.
Hello there.
And it's your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Duffy.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
It was a rough weekend.
Oh, we're going to definitely get into the action in just a second, but we have to run through the socials first. You know how to find us on OchoDuroParlayHour.com. It has links to our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, and so much more. Definitely join in the conversation on social media because we want to interact with you. And remember to use the hashtag ODPH because we have a lot to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
And we first have to kick off with the NFL recap and talk about our locks and leaps. Week 1 is in the books.
Yes.
Pad, you want to start us off?
Sure, I'll start with my lock. I chose the Baltimore Ravens to defeat the Miami Dolphins, and holy sugar cookies did they ever. It really says something when you have a tie in the NFL, which I would say is usually the standard for, like, you had a bad week in the NFL. Like if you play a full game plus overtime and you tie, like usually that's like, all right, you had the worst week in the NFL. No, when you get blown out by 49 points and it's just an overall embarrassment, yeah, no, you had the worst week in the NFL.
Break down that beautiful stat line.
Holy cow. So, yeah, the Baltimore Ravens defeated the Miami Dolphins by a final score of 59-10. Lamar Jackson, who is, as he reminded us all, not bad for a running back, had 17 of 20 passing, 324 yards, 5 touchdowns. Mark Ingram had a stellar day on the rushing side of the ball with 14 carries for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then you had Marquise Brown doing his team and my fantasy team a lot of help. 4 catches, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Coach, your thoughts on this game?
Were the Dolphins even there?
Physically, yes.
Because, I mean, I don't know if this was so much how great Baltimore is or how bad Miami's going to be because, my God, they weren't even, I mean, there wasn't even a pulse. And then the story comes out late Sunday night that the entire team
multiple people.
Yeah, called their agents to request a trade.
Yeah, I mean, because you flip to the other side of the ball, Ryan Fitzpatrick, 14 of 29 passing for 85 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Josh Rosen got in the game for a brief bit of action. 1 of 3 passing, 5 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. They had nothing going on the ball. I mean, Kenyon Drake had 12 yards rushing. Devontae Parker had 75 yards receiving. But outside that, it was just like nothing.
I mean, not even to say, because we liked Baltimore in the previous show. We thought they'd be all right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, not this good.
Yeah.
I mean,
holy cow.
I mean, so really, though, I think Baltimore will be okay, and Baltimore fans should be excited by the fact that your offense was able to put up, because that's the biggest question mark they had. Moving from Flacco to Jackson was going to be the biggest change.
Yeah.
Obviously, you saw Lamar Jackson's performance in the divisional game, so there was question marks there. He put those and shut those down. But again, I think this just goes to back and falls on Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's even what you can say after a game like that when you can see the body language in and of itself is that this team is toast.
I would say the defense was already bad enough, and I'm not crapping on this person I'm about to name here by any stretch of the imagination, but your defense is bad when RG3 comes in, 6 for 6, 55 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, that's not good.
No.
We said this on the preview show that Miami was going to be hashtag tanking for Tua.
Mm-hmm.
Tank for Tua.
And this was above and beyond the Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Honestly, Miami might just be that bad. And nothing away from Baltimore. Take nothing away from them. They came in there, and Lamar Jackson had a career day and definitely is playing with a chip on his shoulder, which if you're a Baltimore fan, you have to be excited about seeing.
And, I mean, as he should, because that divisional game was terrible.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Marquise Brown, who in like 2 catches had like 100 yards receiving.
Yeah. So this is so promising for the Ravens. And if you're a Ravens fan, you have to be ecstatic about this. On the flip side, Miami, we thought it was going to be bad, and I just didn't think it was going to be this bad. And obviously going into week 2, I don't see it getting any better.
You want to take a guess what the over-under is on this game?
For against New England for week 2.
Is it at 16.5?
It's higher.
Oh, it's higher now.
Yeah.
It's higher.
18.5. New England is favored by.
Okay.
The last time a game was like this with New England, I think it was during the Randy Moss era.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, well, they opened at 16. That's
Yeah.
what the opening line. That's what I said to you guys.
No, it opened at 11.
Oh, opened at 11.
It opened at 11. By the end of the early afternoon games, when Miami had just gotten shellacked, it jumped to 16.5, and
Okay.
now it's up 2 more points to
Well,
18.5.
and then New England put their shellac on
Yeah.
themselves.
Well, the question now becomes, where does Miami go from here? And if players are asking to leave,
0-16 is where they go from here.
honestly, after week 1, it's not out of the realm of thought, to be honest. The game was that bad
Yeah.
for Miami. And if players are trying to jump ship instead of trying to save it, or at least stop some of the water from filling the boat there, so to speak, trying to quit on your team right now is not the best look if that is true.
Well, they
No.
already said that when they traded Tunsil that there was already problems in the locker room. And then just like Pat said, I mean, look at their calendar. There's 3 remaining players on it from
Yeah.
their season open, their season calendar that they give out. So that just shows you right now that there's big problems in that locker room and there isn't leadership in there because your leadership was traded away. I mean, you traded Kenny Stills, quiet veteran, and Tunsil, who was your captain on the offensive line. So, I mean, where you go from here, I don't know. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick can only do so much.
Right, and I mean, you sure they might be able to squeak out a fluke win during the season, but I mean, typically you might expect them to win a game if they're this bad at the end of the season when teams are kind of resting their starters. They know when things are locked up. So I'm looking at their schedule. I'll just jump to December. Week 13, December 1st, they're playing Philly. All right. Probably won't win that because Philly won't be sitting their starters the first week of December. Week 14, they are playing the Jets in New York. Week 15, they're playing the Giants in New York. Week 16, they're playing the Bengals. And then week 17, they're playing the Patriots in Foxborough.
That week 15 could be their only win.
It could be at this point.
Because the Giants suck!
We'll get into that a little bit later in the show.
Oh, okay.
But
Thank you.
like I say, for this game, though, to put a tie on it, Miami, I don't know where you begin to work, but you have to figure out something. I know it's a new coaching staff and new everything, but you have to find your way to at least look presentable if this is going to be the case. I'm just saying after this game, and like I said, it's a beautiful stat line if you play fantasy football.
Yeah.
And if you're a Ravens fan, the future is very bright going into week 2.
I was say I got to be honest. I got Marquise Brown on one of my fantasy teams. Took him on a shot in the dark. Hey, I just need him to fill a position, but I'm looking like a genius right now.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
I mean, anywhere can go from here for both teams. I mean, it's just anywhere. But like I say, Miami has got a lot more questions than answers.
Yep.
Pat, your leap.
My leap at the time. Now I know this point spread fluctuated a little bit, but when I picked it, it was an even push. I picked the Denver Broncos to win their game against the Oakland Raiders, which they did not. They lost by a final score of 24-16. Joe Flacco going 21 of 31 passing for 268 yards, 1 touchdown. On the flip side, you had Derek Carr going 22 of 26 for 259 yards and 1 touchdown.
Coach?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Antonio Brown gate and all that played out over the weekend, was quite the fiasco and quite the storyline. We had said that would be the biggest story on Monday, which,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it probably still is.
I
But
mean, if you could turn off the announcers and just hear the crowd, yeah, it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, the crowd was very vocal about their feelings towards
A little bit.
But I'll say, I mean, Oakland, outside of that, still had they have a decent football team. I mean, Derek Carr back, very solid quarterback.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs, obviously, give him the ball because he will run through you. A decent wide receiver core. Obviously, Antonio Brown would have only made it better.
Yeah.
And I mean, a very young defense that, has leadership too at the linebacker position, which is most important. So, not to say that I think they're going to run the NFC West or the AFC West. It's just I'm not surprised that they beat Denver at home.
Right.
And I mean, good for Jay Gruden getting that win, monkey off his back after everything happened. I mean, obviously none of the issues were with him,
No.
and what was going on. That is unfortunate that really he's inheriting the mess that was created by, the previous general manager and Mike Mayock of the GM today. So where they go from here, I don't really know. And if you're Denver, I mean, that they're obviously a good performance out of Flacco, but
Yeah,
I
they had
mean,
a good day from Cortland Sutton and their wide receivers. 7 catches, 120 yards, no touchdowns, but he averaged 17.1 yards per catch.
but I mean, you shouldn't have gotten beat that bad.
No.
No, they definitely shouldn't have. And like you say, John Gruden definitely has to be very happy about this, especially with all the drama that was going into the game. So on the Oakland side of the ball, they got to be very happy that they got the win out.
Yeah.
Denver is almost in the same state that Miami is, but they're in better shape. by far.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're in the transition phase of, okay, where are we going from here and where's our identity? It's to be determined. But Flacco looked okay. He didn't look awful in this game.
Yeah, no.
So, I mean, they do have some pluses to go to week 2. So we just kind of have to wait and see where they go from there because that defense will keep them in every game. Just in this one, Oakland had the last straw.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, your lock.
All right, my lock was the Cleveland Browns over the Tennessee Titans.
Whoops.
That didn't happen at all.
Whoops.
My God.
Pad, you got the stat line?
Yep. So Tennessee ended up winning by a final score of 43-13.
Ouch.
Marcus Mariota had 14 of 24 for 248 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield had 25 of 38 passing for 285 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions.
And you want to know the biggest storyline coming out of this game?
Odell Beckham Jr.'s watch.
Odell Beckham's Jr.'s watch.
What was that, like 350,000?
My God. So we're not even sitting here talking about the game. We're not talking about practice. We're talking about a watch.
Yeah.
That's what's coming out of this game. So, I mean, for all you Giants fans that were like, man, Odell Beckham, don't trade him. Well, now you see why. And listen, I wish they would have gotten more for him, to be honest with you.
Sure.
That was my gripe with the trade. Not that they traded him, just the fact that first you said you weren't going to, and then you only get 1 measly first-round pick. Mm-hmm. Whatever. So, again, though, I still think Cleveland will be able to right the ship. I'm not going to jump off the bandwagon. I know, our fearless leader across the table from me, Pad, has jumped off that bandwagon.
No.
I am going to hold steadfast. They are going to be okay. Tennessee's defense is very, very good, and their offense is not very good, but they put up 43 points, so what can you say?
I mean, listen, if there's anything both teams need to work on, it's their third down efficiency. Tennessee was 2 of 10 on third downs, and Cleveland was 1 of 10 on third downs.
The one takeaway, and I have not jumped off ship, but I think this is a very sobering reality check, to say the least.
A little bit, yeah.
For the hype train that is Cleveland.
Well, and especially the swagger they might have been walking in there with, just, on paper, how good things look. Like, we got Odell, we got Jarvis Landry, we got Nick Chubb, we got all these guys on defense, and we got Baker. Like, we're going to be good this year. And, like, yes, you might be good, but, like,
you still have to play.
Slow your roll.
This is the exact thing Baker needed.
Yeah.
Just to get that chip back on his shoulder. He's gonna right the ship. He's gonna come out. He's gonna put the Cleveland flag in the middle of somebody's field next week, and we are gonna get our Baker Mayfield back.
Yeah, this is just nothing but a humbling loss that I think came at the right time. Because everybody, like I say, they have been predicting Cleveland is going to be in the Super Bowl without snapping it down.
Oh, I mean, a lot of people, we're definitely at least the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
So this is probably the best thing that could happen if they couldn't win, because it's a humbling loss. Not just they didn't lose by 1. They got blown out at home. So now they're hearing about this for the entire week from every single news media outlet that is covering them.
I would say for the next 8 days, because week 2 they're on Monday Night Football against the New York Jets.
And I will say this right now: that is my lock. Cleveland is going to win.
Okay.
I don't even see a point spread. I am sticking with the Browns.
I think they're your leap because I think the Jets are 2.5-point favorites.
Oh, then I'll jump on that all day, all day, and then some.
He is right. Yeah. Cleveland's currently 2.5-point favorite.
Oh, Cleveland. Okay.
Yeah, done.
All right,
lock it in. But for Baker, he's got to hear the noise, and he's definitely got to pull that team together. And definitely for Tennessee, though, sneaking in there. And
good for them.
I mean, they're one team that we said on the preview show that they were going to scrap, and they definitely scrapped out. The game was not pretty on their offensive side.
But they're not a pretty offensive team.
No, that's the thing. You know what you're getting with them. You know you're going to be battling like a good old-fashioned boxing match.
Mm-hmm.
Every down is going to be tough. And Tennessee, hey, they did what they needed to do. For Cleveland, I hope they found the blueprint and they bounce back next week.
Yep.
So, Coach, your leap.
My leap was the Panthers,
which
lost to the Rams.
But it was closer than people expected, though.
No, because that was garbage time, Ken. Don't try and make me feel better about my picks. It was a bad week, and I'm wearing the dunce cap right now because Carolina was down in that game. They were getting beaten up in that game. Cam Newton looked like the same Cam Newton that we get every single year, which is terrible. It was the same Carolina Panther team that we get every year where, they're going to win the NFC and they're going to go to the Super Bowl. And then they play like this. and they put up a dud at home against the defending NFC Championship team that just lost in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl hangover written all over them. Todd Gurley's knee. What is going on with it, Pat? Do we know?
Not to my knowledge.
The Rams don't even know what's going on with his knee. So there's a question mark there. You know, paying quarterback Goff get paid in the offseason. Their whole entire defense revamped because they lost everybody but Donaldson. And they have a perfect chance, Carolina, to come out and put a whooping on this team. And they put up a dud.
I just want to know where Cam Newton gets those outfits for postgame.
I don't care where he gets those outfits from. I want victories, Pad. I want W's when I pick you as my leap.
So, in case anyone doesn't know the score, the LA Rams won by a final score of 30-27. Jared Goff.
And it was not as close as that score will tell you.
Jared Goff, 23 of 39 for 186 yards passing.
Garbage.
One touchdown, one interception. On the flip side, Cam Newton, 25 of 38 for 239 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. But I think we got to point this one out because holy good God almighty. Christian McCaffrey, have a game, why don't you? 19 carries, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Well, that's what he does, Pad. That's what he always does. Tell him the guy, the Todd Gurley stat. Tell him that for all you fantasy owners out there.
14 carries, 97 yards, 6.9 yards average.
Right. All right.
0 touchdowns.
0 touchdowns. How many? Who had them?
For the Malcolm Brown.
Malcolm Brown. He got all the goal line stuff. So not only am I mad about the way that the Panthers perform, but then I have Todd Gurley on my fantasy team, who I had to play Ken, and Todd Gurley puts up another dud.
I think for Todd Gurley owners in fantasy, it's going to be a very
long year.
It's going to be a long year because you look at what happened last year, where his year, banner year, supposed to win awards and this that, and the other, and what happened at the end of the year with all the miles on his legs. Started to fall apart. Got to the Super Bowl. Wasn't nearly himself from earlier in the season. So that's going to be in the back of the team's mind, going, can we depend on this guy, or if we just give him what we did last year, is the same thing going to happen?
When your team says that they don't know what his knee is, like. That's not good.
No, this whole season is going to be a question mark concerning Gurley, in my opinion.
Yeah. His usage is going to be exponentially lower.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, fantasy football tip: try recruiting his backups on your team.
Oh, so check for Malcolm Brown.
Really, Pat. Yeah, I had to use my waiver, which I was the number one. And I tried to hold on to that for most of the year, and I had to use it because I got to pick up Malcolm Brown. Sure. I don't have a choice.
Yes. It's a very puzzling situation what's going on with the Rams, but they squeaked out the win in Carolina.
And then I forget to mention it was a West Coast team traveling to an East Coast playing at 1 o'clock,
which is one of the things you thought would factor in.
I had everything written on this for a win.
Yes, but unfortunately, that's not how they played the game.
God,
I'm trying not to dig in too much because I know when we go to our NFL extra segment. We're going to be mentioning about the Giants, so I want you to save some energy for that. Because
don't worry, I got plenty for that.
I know you're going to dig into that.
Listen, I don't get it. Like, you're sitting here, and it's just, you're Carolina Panthers, you're playing at home, you're playing against the NFC Championship team, that Super Bowl hangover, and then you come out, and, they were down. They came back in this game. At one point, they were down, I think 27-17 or 27-14. They had to come back in the game, and luckily they had either an interception or fumble recovery that was within the red zone, so they were able to convert on that. And that's the only reason why they got back in this game, because had the Rams gone down and scored, forget about it.
Going into the fourth quarter, the Rams were up 23-13, yeah.
All right, close enough. But, whatever. Either way, though, that red zone interception that happened late in the game, that helped Carolina get back in this, because otherwise, had the Rams gone and scored on that drive, it would have been 30-13.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things when you make those big comebacks, because once you do, the team gets a lot of momentum and they seem to bounce back. Kind of like my lock did, which had me worried the entire time of the first half.
I'm sure.
Yes. You like how I'm doing
I
that.
like that. I respect it.
What can I say? I got the segue game going on really good. I picked the Eagles to go over Washington, and boy, they had me worried for
sweating
a good amount of the game. But 32-27, Pad, you got that stat line?
Yep, like you said, 32-27 was the final score. Case Keenum, 30 of 44 for 380 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. On the flip side, Carson Wentz, 28 of 39 for 313 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no assists. But I think we got to mention the one big standout thing, and again, Thank you for my fantasy team. Carson Wentz hooking up with Deshaun Jackson for
all day.
8 yards, 8 catches, for 154 yards, 2 touchdowns.
About 7 of those 8 catches too were all over Josh and Norman.
His average was 19.3 yards.
When they finally got the ball rolling, Philly was very scary.
Yeah, So I actually watched this game because I've 2 divisional opponents.
Sure.
So I wanted to see what was going on. And yeah, scouting. Well, somebody's got to do it because nobody's doing it in New York. And I, sitting here watching the game, and I mean, they were up, I think, double digits, at least 16. Plus.
At halftime they were up 20-7.
And Philly looked terrible. Mm-hmm. It was not a good Philly football team.
No.
So here I'm thinking, all right, Washington, they're dominating. So I turned the game off to, let the kids watch something on TV. Come back later. All of a sudden, Philly's up 1.
I think you got to give a credit to the coaching staff and especially the defensive coaches there because, like you said, going into halftime, it was 20-7. But then you look at the second half of the game, Philly held Washington to just 7 points, and that was in the fourth quarter.
Oh, and Washington was on tilt the rest of the way.
Sure,
they had no answers offensively.
No, it's one of those kind of weird situations that Washington started out real strong, but then they just got punched in the mouth and just couldn't recover.
Yeah.
I mean, and Philly just unloaded. Deshaun Jackson, welcome home, and what a return.
Yeah.
I mean, Eagles fans were ecstatic about this, as they should be. And Carson Wentz, when he's healthy, he's a dangerous quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll say as long as they can continue to sling the deep ball like that, they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because, that vertical passing game, if he can be accurate with that, because then once you try to take that away, you still got Alshon Jeffries and Zach Ertz underneath.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough. And the running back, they ran all 3 guys,
all
3 looked good.
Sproles had 47 yards. Howard had 44 yards. Sanders had 25 yards.
That's over 100 yards rushing by 3 running backs.
Once they get going, they're going to be tough to stop. So Philly, definitely a gritty win coming from behind. Much like my leap, but it's always a lock in my heart because nobody circles those wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Nobody goes through a table like the Buffalo Bills fans.
This is very true, and I'm not saying that might have happened in a pregame on Sunday, but I'm not going to even go into that. But it was a rough start at the Meadowlands, but the Bills wound up winning 17-16.
Mm-hmm.
Pad, you got that stat line.
Yep. Josh Allen, 24 of 37 for 254 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. On the flip side, Sam Darnold, 2 for 41 on 175 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. I think the one standout, though, we got to mention, not even standout just because, hey, everyone was curious what he would be like in his first game back after a year off. Le'Veon Bell, 17 carries, 60 yards, no touchdowns.
Coach, your thoughts on this before I go off?
I credit to Buffalo for able to hold Le'Veon Bell in check. Under 17 carries for roughly about 60 yards.
Average 3.5,
that's definitely not what the Jets were looking for as far as a game plan, especially when you bring in Le'Veon Bell. You're looking for him to be able to help, alleviate some of the offensive pressure off Sam Darnold by at least getting, maybe averaging 4 or 5 yards per carry.
Yeah.
And obviously offensively, Josh Allen was able to find his groove come the second half, which is exactly what Buffalo needs. They're not going to be a team that is going to be able to, put up 30 to 40 points a game.
They're not going to be like Baltimore on Sunday.
Sure, and I think they know that, and they just need Josh Allen to be able to put maybe 1 or 2 in the end zone and milk the clock, and they were able to do that.
Now, let me ask this, since I wasn't able to watch a game, and I know you were. How did Le'Veon look? Did it look like a little bit as if we were in wrestling, a little ring rust, if you will?
No, not necessarily. What they did, and I thought was smart, is they were using him to his advantage running to the sidelines.
Okay.
They were doing a lot of power lefts, power rights, and they were just really kind of shifting the line to allow him to be a playmaker. And
sure.
They were really taking advantage because the Bills' offense started out very stagnant. And on the flip side, the Jets were really trying to feed Le'Veon the ball and really get him going. And I really didn't see too much, as we say in wrestling terms, ring rust. He definitely started finding his stride later in the game.
Sure.
But that's when Buffalo made second half adjustments. And with Josh Allen's turnovers too, I will say this. The fumbles are completely on him, and I have no idea why they went on it on 4th and 1 when they were down. I want to say at that point they were still 17-0.
Sure.
And they didn't go for the easy field goal with with their kicker there. And he fumbles the ball. His fumbles, I fully blame on Josh Allen. He's got to be better with the ball. The interceptions, though, were deflections. So you can't really fault him on that. And like I said, the Jets took full advantage of it. Darnold was using a lot of just easy screen passes to the right side. And once the Bills started picking that up, then they really started taking hold of the game too.
Right.
And I thought was the biggest sign for the Bills for me was Devin Singletary. And taking a look at his stat line, it was 4 attempts for 70 yards.
Yep, average 17.5 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah, but he took it over in the second half.
I'd say.
And he was really making a spark in that offense that they desperately needed. And when he was working his ways to the outside, the Jets, I'm not saying they were tired, but I just didn't think they had an answer at that stage.
Well, I mean, they're going to need somebody to step up on the rushing side of the ball. I mean, because outside Devin Singletary, their next highest rusher was their own quarterback.
Right.
For 10 carries on 38 yards. And after that, it was Frank Gore. So, like, Shady's not there anymore. Frank Gore's, 139 years old, however old he is. He's been in the league a few years.
Yeah.
So you're not exactly going to get, AP in his prime carries out of the guy.
Why you got to do Frank Gore like that, man?
I mean, listen, he's been around a long time. It is what it is. But you need somebody to step up. So kudos to Devin Singletary for stepping up big.
Yeah, no, he came through clutch, especially when they needed tough downs. They took care of that.
Yeah.
And it's not to say the Jets weren't in it, because they were definitely in, but the Bills just took over that second half, and especially once Josh Allen found Josh Brown. That's going to be a nice combination with the chemistry they were working on, and even with Cole Beasley, too.
Yeah.
Because once Allen started slinging the ball, and they were kind of really, the offensive coordinators were really letting him take over, that's when you saw like a little shift in the offense, and you looked a lot more comfortable. Because like I said, that first half was awful.
Yeah.
And it was an ugly win. I'll be the first one to tell you it was ugly, but a win is a win.
Especially against a divisional opponent.
Yeah, on the road, I'll take that any day I can get it.
Yeah.
And definitely the Jets were game for the matchup. It's not to say it was a walk in the park by any means.
No.
But I'll take the win, and I'll take it moving forward. That was our locks and leaps from the past week, but definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. What was your takeaways from week 1 in the NFL? We're going to come back actually for another segment of the NFL here on the ODPH.
Hey, this is Liz,
Hey, this is Heather,
and we are Nerdy Bitches Podcast.
a show where two geeky ladies podcast their way through pop culture.
From movies and TV to our regular book club and everything in between, we bring you our favorite fandoms with a feminine eye.
We are talking Star Wars, Star Trek, DC Marvel, comic books, and anime.
And don't forget sci-fi, fantasy, action movies, video games, D&D, board games, and so much more.
Be sure to check us out on Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, or wherever you find awesome podcasts.
You can also find us hanging out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and at nerdybitches.com.
See you soon.
Hey, this is Brian Wolf from Fair City Fire. You are listening to ODPH, the greatest podcast in Binghamton.
Woo!
Hot lips touching, cool thighs feeling, shawty running up, her spine spinning, long day to a long night, but I'm not stopping till I get it right.
Coming back for an NFL extra segment here on the ODPH podcast, because there were so many stories going around week 1, and we have to address, dare I say, is it the elephant in the room?
The Giants' horrible loss, I know.
Well, we're going to get into that in a second, but Pat, this one's hitting you a little closer to home.
A little bit.
Antonio Brown left the Raiders via being released.
Yep.
Within mere moments, it felt like, is now where?
I mean, he was released at 12, signed
Yeah.
at 12:01.
Well,
Yes.
so later in the afternoon, but the whole weekend, like after we finished the episode and went about our lives and whatnot, the story just got crazier and crazier and crazier because, wind the clock back a little bit. Friday, a video comes out on Antonio Brown's YouTube page because apparently he's now trying to be the next, PewDiePie on YouTube and be the next social media superstar. A video comes out of like him training in like black and white footage, and it's a phone conversation with him and his then head coach John Gruden. And my first thought of this when I heard this was, oh God, because I was remembering back to the Roger Clemens and I forget his trainer's name court case.
Oh yeah,
Where his trainer was suing him for libel and defamation, and one of them had recorded a phone conversation, and you have a different states have different laws based on how many people have to agree to the phone being phone call being recorded for it to be legal. California is a two-party state, aka if Ken M and myself have a phone conversation in the state of California, we both have to agree to the phone call being recorded. So we're like, oh God, he might have violated the law here. And then we come Saturday, or was it Saturday? Yeah, Saturday, and the Raiders cut him. And then, lo and behold, by like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, it was reported by Adam Schefter that he was getting signed by the Patriots.
Yeah, so, Coach, your thoughts on this?
I mean, just the Patriots being the Patriots. I mean, what else? What else can you say? I mean, my biggest thing is that, I wish that we knew more of what happened in Oakland, because from the sounds of things, and this is just my pure feelings and thoughts on it, sounds like he was trying to work his way out of there the entire time, from the foot thing to the helmet to the not showing up at camp. So
see, to me it's almost a little outrageous for like somebody to like, you want out of someplace that bad that like you're thinking that far in advance. I don't doubt something like somewhere along the lines I think something went wrong,
right,
and the relationship soured, because you go back to when he got traded to Oakland and there was that video that got put up of him in the suit and in the hat, and he went to Derek Carr's house and he's smiling and he's hugging. Something obviously changed and soured the relationship from the time he first signed with the Raiders to when he wanted to get out in the worst way humanly possible.
The only thing to just backtrack the timeline, though, is when he was originally last season having issues in Pittsburgh, New England was rumored to be trying to get him via trade.
Yeah,
and
right.
The Steelers did not want to make a deal with the Patriots.
I'll say that if I read correctly, the Patriots were offering him like a first-round draft pick or something like that.
It was something extremely high, which, I mean, it would have made sense for Pittsburgh to make the move, albeit, though, they don't want to work with the Patriots. Or the Steelers, rather, don't want to work with the Patriots.
I'll say a la Brett Favre wanting out of Green Bay and wanting to go to Minnesota, and they traded him to the Jets.
Right. So this kind of had the same vibe to it. And then, obviously, with AB getting to Oakland, everybody thought, okay, they're in the honeymoon phase. Everything's working right.
I mean, I'd argue they weren't even in the honeymoon phase.
Well, you have to kind of question at the beginning when he first there and he was meeting with Derek Carr and just, at the initial moment, everybody's like, okay, this is going to work. And then there was a whole frostbite issue.
Yeah.
And then Helmet the sequel, and then
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, then fighting with the GM, and then
the fine.
Then the fines, and then it just kind of boiled over to the point where the Raiders had no choice.
No.
And then, obviously, who comes swooping in is the Patriots. And I know a lot of people were... I'm the first one to say it, too. I was like, that made the most sense for them to do from a business standpoint. For me... I'm looking at this going, okay, either this was some kind of house of cards long-term planning to eventually wind up to New England, or this is just another masterful move by the Patriots, who definitely takes shots on players that are considered questionable characters because of actions with the team.
Yeah.
And they had the chance to say, hey, if you want a chance to win, come here.
Right. I mean, New England, especially ever since I would say the Randy Moss trade from Oakland to New England, has become kind of this team where, if you're on your last ditch, no other team will give you a shot. If you can't make it with them, you're done. And I know a lot of people are going, oh, it's going to be a match made in heaven. Look at what they did with Randy Moss. Okay, yes, that's true. But for every Randy Moss, I forget the player's name, but there was that wide receiver that was in Arizona that was a real head case and real issue.
Floyd.
Thank you. Malcolm Floyd, who was with the Patriots for all of not even half a season. For every Randy Moss, there's an Albert Hainsworth. There's a Darrelle Revis. Like, there's good and bad on both sides. Will this work out? I mean, time will tell. I mean, from what they said on the Sunday Night Football broadcast, Robert Kraft called Tom Brady about the news, and he said, I'm 100% in. Then he called him back, a couple minutes later, I'm 1,000% in. And then he called him back, a little later in the day, goes, I'm 1,000,000% in, and if he needs a place to stay until he finds a place, he can live with me.
Well, we're forgetting one integral part of this timeline, too, is that Pete Carroll called Oakland and tried to make a trade, and they said no. Then when he got released, he called Drew Rosenhaus to try and sign him. And Drew Rosenhaus wasn't even taking his phone calls. And then when he finally did answer, which was that day, the same day as the transaction with the Patriots, he said he already signed somewhere. So, house of cards? yards. I don't know. I mean,
the thing of it is, though, is you had Schefter get on, Adam Schefter get on SportsCenter. I want to say it was like the night this happened or the day after this happened. I forget. The days are blending together. Where the host brought this up. And he goes, yeah, you could argue that it's collusion and it's backroom, but he's like, this stuff happens in the NFL all the time, where you have front office staff talk with agents and go, now they're not technically not supposed to go if a player's under contract with another team. Go, hey, your guy with our team. They go, what if, and all this other stuff.
No different than what's going on in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's spade to spade. It's all the same.
Yeah, it is. And for Antonio Brown, I'm sure he was looking at the teams if he was finally going to be a free agent. So this was his choice, 100% all in on him.
Yep.
So if this fails, it's on him. And I'm sure he's looking at the teams and saying, okay, who wants me to join them? And if the Patriots come calling, I'll be honest. If you're a player and you want to go to a team that has a winning tradition, you go to the Patriots. I hate saying this as a Bills fan, but I'm being honest.
Proof is in the pudding.
This is where you go, and it makes sense. Brady, he needs a true number one. Obviously, with Gronkowski not being there, there's cap money that they can spend.
Gronkowski's not there, and Gordon has come out and said he doesn't want to be the number one focus like he was in Cleveland, that he just wants to play. And you put AB there, AB's going to get double covered, and Gordon is going to be able to get passes. And then you'll go, oh, darn, we need to double cover Gordon. Oh, well, there you go, AB.
Yeah, and this is going to work out. I sense this is going to work out for everybody involved.
Sure.
AB is going to be a model teammate, and I think you're going to hear a lot of what kind of rubbed people the wrong way in Oakland and even Pittsburgh on the way out the door. He's not going to be doing.
Well, and that's the other thing is if with the way the Patriots operate, and especially Bill Belichick, where I remember a game a couple years ago again in Indianapolis where one of their running backs fumbled the ball in like the first quarter and he benched him for the rest of the game. You don't think if Brown starts pulling any of this nonsense in New England, they won't go home, you're done.
Yeah, that's what I don't think it's more so going to be it's not going to be there. I just think it's going to be silenced because the Belichick way will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work here, then dare I say he might actually be doing retirement because what team is going to take a chance? If they can't work with the Patriots who have that built-in tradition of winning, it's tougher to go somewhere else and then try having that success.
Yeah, and in case anyone's curious about the whole phone-recorded John Gruden conversation, if the producer of said video is to be believed, they were going to put that video out, and then Antonio's marketing agent representative called him and said, you can't do that, that's against the law. So he then sent it to John Gruden and said, hey, what do you think of this? If you don't like it, I'll pull it out. It's no issue. And Gruden came back and said, I love it. It's awesome. And then on the flip side, even I got to admit, I was salivating a bit of this when, you're looking at the Patriots' possible wide receivers, and if they go 5 wide, who do you cover? They have now traded Demaryius Thomas to the New York Jets
for a 6th-round pick.
For a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, Patriots are making moves, and it's scary for the rest of the NFL. No other way to describe it. So let us cap off Week 1, though. Coach, we're going to let you have your state of peace here.
Get your popcorn.
Ken, if I said to you that your starting quarterback went 30 of 44 for 306 yards and a TD, but you lost, would you blame the quarterback?
No.
Okay. So that's where we are with the Giants right now. Listen, that team against the Giants lost 35-17 against Dallas in Dallas. Dak Prescott had a field day. He just absolutely devoured the Giants. He was 28 of 32 for 405 yards and had an hour and a half every time he dropped back to throw the ball.
He averaged 12.7 yards per pass and has had a perfect passer rating.
He didn't get pressured all game. So let's rewind the clock a little bit here to April in the draft. The Giants have a 6th pick in the draft, and there's 2 pass rushers, one being Josh Allen, who had a pretty decent game, for being a rookie in his first game. Josh Allen there on the board at 6. And what do? Being the team that was almost dead last in sacks last year in the NFL, trade away your best pass rusher in Olivier Vernon to Cleveland. Now sitting here with whatever you have at defensive line, you pick a quarterback.
Jones.
You pick Daniel Jones at 6th, where he's not going to play a meaningful down in this season, period. So now you're sitting here with a quarterback who's holding a clipboard all year, chewing bubblegum, looking like Dwight Schrute's cousin from The Office, and now you're sitting here and you have no pass rush.
Right.
So that's where we are right now. And I don't get it to me, it was a no-brainer to select a defensive pass rusher.
Yeah.
You know, at the 6th pick. Then you have the 17th pick, and you get a defensive tackle. That doesn't rush the passer.
I mean,
that's a run stopper.
I mean, you just look at the total yards Dallas put up, and they're a sneeze away from 500 yards. They had 494 total yards. I mean, you look at Ezekiel Elliott, 13 carries, 53 yards, one touchdown.
That's a good game.
That's a good game for him.
Well, that's a good game for the Giants on pass rushing. I mean, on stopping the run.
Right, but especially I kind of thought, okay, is it Zeke's best game? No, but what? He signed his deal on Thursday, Wednesday, whatever it was. So he's getting back into the flow of things. But then you just look at the receiving side of the ball, and my God, Michael Gallup, 7 catches, 158 yards.
Gross.
Amari Cooper, 6 catches, 106 yards. Randall Cobb, 4 catches, 69 yards.
Now that's
and
not
what about Jason Witten?
I had a touchdown. Shush. Now that's not even to give this the fault to the secondary, because when you have to cover a guy for more than 5 seconds, that's pretty difficult to do.
Yeah.
Even Darrelle Revis, for as great as he was in his prime, could not cover somebody an entire play like that.
No.
So when you have no pass rush, which mind you was what the Giants were was a strength, and what beat the Patriots in both of those Super Bowls were Justin Tuck and Michael Strahan getting to Tom Brady.
Let's say they call it the NASCAR defense or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was the pass rush defense was what I used to call it. And now they can't do it. And then here's the most telling stat and the scariest stat. Who's arguably the Giants' best player? Saquon Barkley, right? No, I know, Daniel Jones. Being serious here for a second.
Yeah,
Saquon Barkley. How many touches did he have in this game?
I'll
answer that. 15. He had 4 catches.
Oh, okay.
15 touches. That is Saquon Barkley, arguably your most dangerous player in the game. Even I would say I think he's better than Ezekiel because he's a little more dangerous out of the backfield as far as a pass catcher.
Yeah.
So I would arguably say the best player on the field, and he touches the ball 15 times and only twice in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
McFly, hello. I mean, you want to talk about McAdoo being a bad play caller. My God, Schumer, you were an offensive coordinator who had Adrian Peterson. You don't know how to get the ball to your best player?
Yeah.
Listen, it is going to be a long year for the Dolphins. It's going to be an even longer year in New York.
It's a bold statement the coach is making, but when you give up 30,
I mean, I'm not saying they're going to go 0-16. I'm just saying, as far as what expectations were, and I know that they weren't good, but my God, you are going to be looking at from Tua or the Herbert out of Oregon, and now you're sitting here and you pick Daniel Jones at 6. He's not going to play a single down that will be even remotely for a winning team this entire season, and you had a pass rushing defensive end sitting there, and you elect a quarterback. Common sense.
Yeah, it's a question mark that the Giants definitely need to answer, because when you give up 35 points to the Cowboys as they lost 35-17, there's a lot of answers that they just don't have.
And the worst part is these just dumb people sitting here saying they should have put Daniel Jones in this game because Eli had a couple.
Daniel Jones want to save the ship.
Yeah, no. I mean he had a couple a couple dumb plays. That Eli shouldn't be making as a 16-year veteran. But at the same time, you can't ask a guy to go 80-plus yards every single drive and score when Dallas is scoring on every single drive.
Yeah.
It's a question that they don't have answers for, and that's for the Giants. They definitely need to figure something out. Not saying because they're going against the Bills next week. No, I'm not taking a shot like that.
No, I mean, I get it.
But to come off a bad loss like this, and let's face it, it was. I mean, when you were down, 21-7 at halftime?
Yeah.
And then just you are still getting pounded at the start of the third quarter. Like I say, this is just one situation that the Giants had no answer for, and they looked lost. Not Miami lost, but they looked lost. And it's nothing against Barkley, who did what he could, but when you only got 11 carries for 120, you got to get the ball more.
My God, I don't know if you got to put him in the Wildcat or whatever, but you can't play him, in the second quarter, only 2 snaps. And then when you get asked about it in the press conference and say, oh, the game was dictating the way that we were playing, calling the game. Was that what the answer was in Detroit when Barry Sanders was there? Is that what they were doing in Dallas with Emmitt Smith?
No. It's a different time period, so obviously he's got to learn. I mean, it's what, second?
I get that, but I'm just saying, you can't sit here and not get him 20 touches a game. 20 touches, minimum.
I was going to say, I mean, how many years has he been in the league?
I mean, this is his second year,
Yeah,
but
so-
how long has Schumer been calling plays for?
I grant you, but I'm saying for him, though, he's got to obviously realize that when he's talking to the media. And obviously...
Well, Schumer said this. This is
Schumer
what
said,
Schumer
okay.
said. So, I mean, listen.
Apologies on that.
Yeah, it's okay. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're so irrelevant. They don't even know what's going on right now. I mean, listen, this team, I don't understand what is going on and what is happening, but when you have a defense that doesn't even deserve to be on the field, and I'm not talking about the secondary because the secondary is full of talent. I'm talking about the front seven. It is abysmal. None of these players outside of Lawrence, who was a first-round pick, would probably make any of the other teams. Mm-hmm. And that's just God honest truth. I don't know what else to say. I mean, you literally went from a team that had Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, Osin Umenyiora, these defensive players that like struck fear to now, a punchline.
Yeah.
With a perfect passer rating for the first time, mind you, in Dallas history since Troy Aikman did it in like 1996.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm looking at the Giants' defense on the ESPN.com depth chart, and while I may not be able to read a lot of times with teams, I may not be able to read off a person's stat line or career history.
Sure,
I'll at least recognize a name. I'm looking at the list they've got for the base 3-4 defense on the Giants. I don't recognize a name on this team until I get to Jabril Peppers at safety.
Well, I mean, Jack Rabbit's a pretty,
no, right, but I'm saying a name I recognize. I don't recognize a name on this until I start getting to the secondary.
And, I mean, you traded away, your arguably your best player that you got out of Miami and Olivier Vernon, as part of the OBJ package. And, you got a really good Zilter offensive guard who was needed because that offensive line was terrible. But, I mean, you can't sit here and say, we're putting our best foot forward as far as, putting a team on the field when your defense is as abysmal as it is.
It's a question mark that they've got to figure out. I mean, that's the thing, but their defense is just not there.
I hope that it's not 16 weeks of that, but it feels better to get that off.
See, this is why we went NFL Extra here on the ODPH this week.
Well, listen, I mean, I cannot be the only Giant. There has to be some Giants fans with, like common sense that just sit here and say, Daniel Jones is not the freaking answer here.
We're definitely going to have to post that on Twitter, so definitely hit us up. You can
Please.
find our social media links on OchoDuroParlayHour.com.
Giants fans, talk to me. I mean, listen, my whole thing is I'm looking forward to the kid from Alabama. No, Judy, the wide receiver. Because, I mean, listen, I know Daniel Jones is what he is, but, I mean, he is a good wide receiver. And if they're sticking with Daniel Jones, I want this Judy kid from Alabama. That's where I'm looking right now.
He's already focused on the
I'm
draft.
already focused on April.
But that's how we recap week 1 here in the NFL. It's been a wild one. We got a lot of stories to talk about, so definitely hit us up on the hashtag ODPH. Join the conversation on our social media because we definitely want to interact with you. What's your thoughts about the Antonio Brown move to New England? What is your thoughts about the Giants' current state of affairs? Coach Duffy will answer you on Twitter. This is not a
Go
joke.
ahead. You say something to me, and I will reply with my answer. Even if it's something trolling, I will still get back to you because I am that ready to argue with people.
So definitely hit us up. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
2, 3, 4.
Hey, this is Johnny Moose from Excite Wrestling, and you're listening to the ODPH. I didn't mess it up. I thought I would. Right now, back to the guys.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and we have to recap some UFC action.
Oh, boy.
UFC 242 came and definitely made some headlines.
Mm-hmm.
The lightweight title was on the line.
Yes.
The one and only Khabib
Mm-hmm.
facing Dustin Poirier.
Yes.
Pad, how did it go down?
Khabib won the fight with a submission rear naked choke in the third round, defeating Dustin Poirier.
Coach, you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's got to be the next fight has to be Khabib versus Khabib.
Oh, cloning. Okay.
Because at this point, I don't know. I mean, and I know that the next fight's going to be, scheduled for Tony Ferguson. But at this point, at this particular point in time, this guy is an animal.
Yeah.
Dare I say, we now have to start throwing him in the GOAT conversation.
You can have that conversation. I don't know if I'd necessally put him there. I mean, yes, he's on a mythical, magical
He's
run.
in the conversation now.
It's a mythical, magical run that's just absolutely insane, where he's just winning, and it's not looking like anybody can even come close to beating him.
Well, I mean, Poirier almost had him, though, once. He did sneak the guillotine on, which I thought Khabib was going to go out. I really did, and I think anybody else probably would have. But Khabib just weathered the storm, and his style of fighting, that aggressive wrestling style, nobody has figured out. Nobody has come close. Poirier, though, did have some good shots, and I mean, he hung in there as much as anybody can, and you can't take anything away from his performance. Mm-hmm. But just Khabib is on that level right now that is, 28-0 now?
Yeah.
I think there's something that's so telling, when you look at the GOAT, when you talk about that GOAT conversation, you have, John Jones, obviously, arguably, probably one of the greatest fighters, literally the greatest fighter of all time, and how he beats opponents by just taking whatever your strength is and then beats you using that.
Right.
But John doesn't always stop fights, regardless of whatever the situation is. But he uses your strength. But Khabib literally just imposes his will.
He just
on
mauls
you.
you.
He just literally from the outstretched start of the fight, if he gets you on the ground, you are not moving from the mat.
No.
And then he will dominate you in every aspect of the floor of the mat game from start to finish until you get saved by the bell or until the referee stops the fight.
I mean, it just really speaks to his body of work when you break down his professional record. Like I said, 28 wins, 0 losses. 8 wins are by knockout. 10 wins are by submission. 10 wins are by submission.
Yeah, in decision. I mean, he is just phenomenal to watch. Like, to watch him, like I say, this is like he has the Anderson Silva mystique now. He has that, when you see him fight, you know you're watching greatness happen.
Right.
And now the question becomes, okay, who's next? Now, I'll pose it around the room. I did get a text in from Common Man Vince Iatole from Crow's Nest MMA.
Okay.
And he said he actually gave me a couple names that he goes could beat Khabib.
Okay.
Tony Ferguson is one.
I mean, if they stay healthy.
Yeah. Gillespie and Justin Gaethje. That was his 3.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me pose this around the room. Who is next, and do you think that Khabib will lose to them? Starting with Coach.
I mean, obviously, I think they've already talked about that Ferguson will be next, and
Right.
the answer is no.
No, yeah, I definitely think Ferguson is next because they've tried to make that fight, 3 times, 4 times?
4.
4 times, and it's never happened. I mean, goodness knows I'm crossing my fingers and toes hoping that it happens this time, but do I think he can beat him? No. I mean, you look at his record, he's gone back-to-back and submitted Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, if you go through the lineage of Khabib's victories, I mean, it's almost like a who's who.
Yeah.
I mean, and just you can go up and down and see. I mean, Michael Johnson was just a scary just domination.
Yeah.
Barbosa was the decision. Al Quinta, who honestly came in on the short notice to fight and definitely scrapped with him, but it was still a one-sided affair. The Conor fight, I'm sorry, it was a one-sided affair.
Yeah.
And any of this talk about they need to have a rematch, no. I'm going to put my foot down about that right now.
I mean, even as big of a Conor fan as I am, no. I don't want to see it.
Conor would need to win a few before I want to see him fight Khabib again.
Yeah, I think I mean, he just needs to be in the octagon for 2 or 3 fights.
Yeah.
And just show that he's got, whatever he had back.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even going back a little bit further, he beat Thiago Tavares in the first round on a knockout punch when after Thiago had tested positive for a steroid.
Yeah, I mean, Khabib is just on that level. I mean, no matter who you throw at him. I mean, Rafael Dos Anjos he defeated. I mean, it's almost like a track record of just great fighters. It's not like he has taken nobody's.
So
and
he ain't fighting slouches.
No, he's definitely not. For me, though, I definitely want to see the Ferguson fight.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can just freeze them cryogenically, like Captain America, and like
just keep them wrapped in bubble wrap.
Yeah, and just keep them on ice till time for the fight. And then,
what are those things where you can put the person in? They're like a giant hamster ball, the Zorb balls or whatever those things are called, or like people run down the hill just for fun. Put them in one of those. Like you can't hurt yourself in one of those.
However, it has to happen because every time that they schedule
it's
Khabib
something
versus Ferguson, something freakish happens. I mean, even the week of the fight and somebody tripped over a cable cord, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
However it happens, this fight needs to happen between those two. I mean, that's a clear-cut number 1 contender. Tony Ferguson is. Could Ferguson beat him? I will say this. He probably has the best chance of anybody that they've scheduled to fight Khabib in a long time.
Right.
Ferguson has this weird pace that he just goes, and it's almost like the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps going and throwing and throwing and throwing. Could that give Khabib fits? I think so. Am I saying he's going to outright win? I don't know. I'll be very honest. Like, this is just one of those highly debated questions when you talk to MMA fans on Twitter and social media. Like, could this happen? Justin Gaethje would be another name, but I just don't know how he would handle Khabib's wrestling.
Right.
I really don't.
I mean, personally, my stance is always wrestling trumps everything.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I mean, unless it's like obviously somebody with jiu-jitsu skills, then obviously it's kind of, punch counter punch type situation. So I mean, I think even if Ferguson can, if you're good with your hands, you always at least have a puncher's chance to win the fight. But I mean, if Khabib gets you down to the ground, you're not getting up.
No, it's very unlikely.
Especially
you'll
if
be able
you
to survive.
are a boxer. If you're a hands thrower, you can't get up off the ground just being able to throw hands.
Right, and I mean, if Gaethje's going to beat Khabib, it's going to have to be by knockout because as we record, he is 20-2 with 2 wins by decision, 1 win by submission, and 17 by knockout.
Yeah, Gaethje just throws hands. Like I said, the fight between him and Cerrone this weekend on ESPN, which I will be doing the Parlay Points blog about because there's a lot of MMA action to cover on there. I mean, that one's going to be one for the ages. And if Gaethje beats Cerrone, you have to throw his name in a number 1 contender match.
I mean, I'm looking at Gaethje's record here, and his lone submission win was way back in 2012. Everything else after that, with the exception of one, which was a decision, is a TKO or a KO.
Yeah, he does not mess around. Like,
No.
he's going for the knockout. He's one of the most entertaining fighters out there.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, if he fights Khabib, I don't know what would happen. I really don't, because when I was talking to Vince about it, Vince was saying don't sleep on his wrestling. I have yet to see it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what would happen. I'll even throw a wild name out there, though. Like, let's say, I'm hoping this doesn't happen, but if Ferguson can't do the fight.
Sure.
What if, hypothetically, because the Usman-Covington fight is not, like, they just can't get that one squared up just yet.
Sure.
I don't know why. I'm not sure what's going on, so I really don't want to speculate. But what if Colby Covington could make the cut to 155?
Oh, Lord.
That's
And you want to talk wrestling to wrestling. I know it's a steep cut, but is it out of the realm of thought?
That maybe if his doctor has anything to say about it.
maybe even a catch weight situation.
Something like that. Because if you want to talk about a wrestler who can throw at just the pace. I mean, you take a look at the fight with Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
Covington can throw for days, and he has great wrestling. Could that match up against Khabib?
I mean, it would be on paper. It looks great. Obviously, it's a lot of fun, dream matchup type situation. But
Yeah, trash talk aside, because if I was Covington, Khabib is not the guy you want to do that with.
No.
Under any circumstance.
not at all.
No, you don't want to go down that road.
My God, I mean that. Not even that him and Poirier talked, but like when that post fight when he hopped out of the octagon, like you posted, I was like, same thing. I was like, this guy just doesn't have an off switch, man.
No.
I mean, he finishes and then he stays up. Like there is no like, hey, I won. All right, I'm gonna go, jump, celebrate.
I'm gonna go eat a pizza.
Yeah, I'm out of the octagon looking for. Not saying that he's looking to fight somebody, but he's like, I'm JoJo the circus boy. I'm losing my mind.
And in case anyone hasn't seen the video, there's a video from Dana White's Facebook page, Twitter page, probably every social media he has, where after the fight was over, Khabib went to go hop the octagon fence. And I saw this video and initially thought, without knowing what was going to happen, went, oh my God, not again. That he was going to hop the fence and start fighting.
I'm looking for somebody.
He was going to start fighting somebody from Poirier's camp, but then he hopped down to Dana and gave Dana a hug. And I'm like, oh, okay.
And
like this Poirier fight wasn't enough. I need more.
No, but he was very respectful with Poirier too after the fight, which I think he's going to be donating some T-shirt sale monies to charities.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool. So yeah, no, Khabib was very very respectful.
No, I mean these two pre and post fight were pretty even keel with each other. I definitely think they respect each other. Not to say that the situation with Conor was obviously very different, and that's clearly clear as day. And I just think that if you're going to fight Khabib, your best strategy is to make him your friend.
Yes.
So that way he doesn't murder you.
Yes.
Yeah, so moving forward, him and Ferguson, we have to sign. For Poirier, though, I'm not sure where he goes. I'd love to see him fight Conor. to be honest
That
with you.
would be
I mean,
wild.
I was just on Twitter, and that's what he just tweeted a photo of him that he said this is the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
and
no,
it was a picture of him and Connor.
I agree. I fully agree. Connor wants to come back and fight, take on the Diamond to see what happens.
Yeah, I think that obviously the fact that he just lost to Khabib makes the most sense because now these are the most two recent, victories for Khabib, and so them fighting each other just in my brain it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely does. I mean, he could always step up and fight Paul Felder, who won against Edwin Barboza on that card too. Felder, though, I'm not sure where he's going to go. I could see that fight happening. For some reason, I just don't see it happening this soon. But there's going to be a lot of question marks about where everybody's going after this. And like I say, for me, there's one clear-cut answer, and Khabib needs to fight Tony Ferguson. I don't know how you, time freeze them, whatever you need to, that they stay healthy and the fight happens, and then anything can happen from there.
Right.
Anything. But definitely let us know on social media. Hit us up on the hashtag ODPH. We have more MMA news we're going to cover on Parlay Points this week, so check that out. We have a lot to break down. But what is your thoughts about Khabib winning against Dustin Poirier? Is he definitely in the GOAT conversation for MMA fighters? And where does he go from here? Is Ferguson the answer, or do you have another fighter he should step up and fight? Hit us up. Let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
It's a heartbreak, soul-shaped radio attack. Taking 4 steps forward, no steps back.
Hey, this is Vince the Common Man Ciatoy, local MMA fighter, telling you to keep on listening to the ODPH, the 607's up-and-coming newest podcast.
We knew right where we'd be, floating on the airwaves, you see. It's a heartbreak, soul-shaped radio attack. Taking 4 steps forward and no steps back. We knew right where we'd be.
Coming back, and it's time to run the ropes here on a wrestling recap of the ODPH podcast. A lot of news happening this past week for the WWE. It's been a little quiet for AEW and such, but WWE returned to Madison Square Garden for Monday Night Raw.
For like the first time in 10 years or so?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And they're definitely loading up back-to-back nights. SmackDown is going to be taping as we are recording.
Yep.
So thoughts overall on the Raw at MSG?
I mean, it was all right. It started out hot because, you had it came out after the graphic intro with WWE and all that. And Michael called, you're looking live at Madison Square Garden, and the Stone Cold glass breaking music hit, and it's like, oh, hey, we're starting hot, and then it kind of just, downhill from there.
Yeah, I mean, Austin and MSG, that crowd being as, known as they are in New York for being the hardcore audience, especially it being kind of a smaller venue, which MSG really does run at, compared to other newer arenas that have been built. So, that crowd was definitely going to be, in for it with Austin.
Yeah.
And, it just kind of fizzled down the stretch. I mean, the 4 horsewomen, being in the ring together at the same time. Interesting that it was done for a Raw and not saved for something bigger, especially given the fact that this story has been written for so long, between the 4 of them from NXT to all the way up. God, they've been rivals and friends for the better part of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
They've really been the focal point of that division. So to, have them have a match and all 4 be in the ring at the same time on a Raw was kind of, an interesting move to me. And, obviously the Seth and Braun thing being your main event picture right now kind of is what it is with Bray Wyatt hanging around in the background, not really knowing what's the direction's going to be there. I honestly, I know we're going to get into it, but it could go either way to me. And then, SmackDown tonight. So we'll see what they're able to do. Undertaker's the guest or going to be on the show. Guest, these veterans always coming back, I don't even know what to call it, but, he'll take his 45 minutes to get to the ring, and I'll probably fall asleep. So,
I mean, the biggest kind of down moment for me of the whole show was probably the main event where you had the 10-man tag team match, which I'm sitting there and I know I wasn't the only one who thought this because multiple people made the joke online and said, when did they start airing dark matches? Because that's what it had the feeling of, where, the show's over here, let's give you the fans in attendance a match just for them. And it's usually encompassing a couple of, like a tag match of some very, good guys and bad guys in a tag match. But that's what it felt like, where you had Braun, Seth, Viking Raiders, and then Cedric Alexander against, Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, and then
Bullet Club.
Thank you.
No, don't even dare say it.
The OC and all them, just that's what it felt like. Was like
California.
was like a dark match. I mean, outside of that, my high point probably had to be when they finally Braun and Seth finally got the contract signed for the Universal Championship match on Sunday. And then the OC comes out to try and start their nonsense. The New York crowd just started calling him an a-hole, and Austin just goes, "Hey AJ, I don't know if your hearing's all that good, but you got 18,000 people calling you an asshole right now."
Yeah, it was an interesting show to say the least. I mean, they opened hot with Stone Cold, and that was a perfect thing. And AJ Styles' sell job of the stunner.
Yo, AJ Styles right now is fire.
Yeah,
I mean, from the promo that he cut last week to the interaction, he literally is just like the perfect foil, I think, for these guys who are over.
Yeah. Because
especially in a New York market, him being the Southern boy, just instantly, I think, gets heat and gravitas towards him because, us New Yorkers and the Southern guy, it instantly gets that heat. So, yeah, that was a ton of fun, to see those two interact.
And especially when, he had that moment where they were coming down to the ring and he goes, "Oh, that's why people hate coming to New York." And he says it with that Southern twang.
Yeah, it's perfect, man. It's literally, it's reminiscent of almost like the Bret Hart, the Canadian days.
Yeah.
Not saying that they're going to have the OC be Southern heels,
right?
But they're both, even Gallows is from the South, so it's kind of a neat little touch, when he does play that up.
Yeah. I thought the one takeaway though was the Viking Raiders finally got a real feud going with the Bullet Club.
Right, and it finally, they weren't wrestling enhancement talent. That, you bring these guys on, former NXT champions, and, they had a couple matches against some main roster folks, but then just out of the blue for whatever reason, and I'll never understand it, I'm not one of the people in back, writing things or producing things, you put them with enhancement talent, and I'm like, these guys don't need it.
No, they don't need it. I mean, especially when they were down in NXT and they won the titles, which nobody's even talking about.
Right.
And then they decided to repackage them for reasons.
Yeah.
I mean,
Twice.
I'm just happy that they got an actual feud going because they're so talented.
Yeah.
That fighting developmental talent. It just really isn't doing anything.
I think. Go ahead.
No, and then the rest of the show. I mean, after you had Becky and Charlotte versus Sasha and Bayley, it just went downhill, and the crowd started turning at that 10:00 hour.
Yeah, they were excited they were definitely excited for the 4 horsewomen match. But then I think where anyone watching the show could see this, where they started to lose them was when you had the Lacey Evans Natalia match, where they started chanting CM Punk in the middle of it. But I think the thing we'd be neglected to mention, if we didn't mention it, is former New York Knicks center Enos Kanter is now a former WWE champion, having won the 24/7 championship.
You can't get rid of this guy. I mean, literally.
Listen, you can tell he's a fan of the product because he came out there. I don't even know what he was out there for. They were doing a taping, a main event. He was out there. He was getting interviewed. R-Truth comes out and he wins the belt. And then he, showing he's a fan of the product. Unzips his jacket and shows the New York crowd his Boston Celtics jersey. I thought it was great.
Listen, I am all for him being a fan of the product, and it's well documented that he is, but my God, don't come back to MSG unless you're playing the Knicks. Just stop. The Knicks cut you. It was obvious, Mitchell Robinson is the future of this, and I know I'm going on a basketball thing here, but I am so sick of it. I mean, he can't literally keep New York out his mouth, man.
Yeah.
Move on. You are a grown up. Deal with the fact that it's over, all right? Your Knicks run ended. You went to Portland. You had a great run, up until the second round of there when Damian Lillard got tired of carrying you on his back and fell apart. And now you're in Boston, and you're wearing Kyrie's number. Kudos to you. Way to be the heel. Way to wear the Celtic jersey in New York. Stop going full gear. You're not Adam Page. You're a bum. Learn how to play defense and keep New York out your mouth. Mic drop.
Enough said there. I mean, how else am I going to come back off that one? I got nothing.
I mean, come on.
No.
I mean, how ridiculous is it?
The only thing worse is Chris Stapps came back.
Right, but I mean, at least Kristaps, he's gone. He's not even talking New York. Enos can't. It's literally like that breakup where it's just listen, it's not me, it's you. I can't do this anymore. and he can't stop.
Kristaps talked about it for what I would say is the required amount of time to be talking about it once it was over.
2 press conferences and done.
And then it was over and done with. I mean, Enos has been gone for how long? 6 months, and it's still coming.
Oh my
God! But hey, former WWE champion. Now.
Hey, kudos to him. Congrats. That's the only championship you'll ever win.
Hey-o. So, speaking of championships, we got to talk about their pay-per-view this weekend, Clash of Champions.
Right. Yes.
So, Pat, you want to break down the card? We'll just give you our quick hits.
Sure. Well, of course, you've got the King of the Ring finals going on where you've got Baron Corbin taking on whoever wins on the SmackDown side. Now, that will be interesting because as we record, it was supposed to be Elias versus, who was it? I'm blanking. Chad Gable. But as we record, due to an ankle injury, Elias is unable to compete tonight, so we'll have to wait and see for the show to see what happens with that.
Now, could Baron Corbin fill in there and then have it please be my dream match of Baron Corbin versus Baron Corbin? I can't get enough of this guy.
Quite possibly. Oh, I mean, they've done it before with Kane.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
And Diesel. So.
Oh, God. Could you imagine 2 Baron Corbins in the ring at the same time?
No.
Oh. No.
Pass.
Then you've got the Cruiserweight Championship between Drew Gulak versus Humberto Carrillo and Lince Dorado.
That'll be a fun match.
Yeah.
Gulak's still going to win.
Gulak's going over for sure.
You've got the Women's Tag Team Championship between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus Fire and Desire.
You know what? I'm going to take Fire and Desire in the upset.
Yeah. I'm thinking the same thing.
I think, they're probably going to split Alexa and get her back into a singles thing here.
Yeah.
So, I'll go Fire and Desire.
Even though I do like Alexa and Nikki together, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice little combo.
It's a good change of pace, but I think they're switching the belts.
Yep. Then you've got the SmackDown Tag Team Championship between the New Day versus the Revival.
Revival's going over.
I can see. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
I think that's going to be Revival, but I'll wait till the title picture to say why.
Okay. Then you've got the Raw Tag Team Championship between Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman versus Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode.
See, I am just fully believing that Seth is not going to be a double champion by the end of the day.
Sure.
So if he's going to lose one belt, it's going to be this one. Albeit, though, I think it's just kind of an odd pairing of Ziggler and Roode. I just don't get it. Even when they're doing promos together, I just don't get it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. But same thing. Seth's not going to be a double champion by the end of the day.
You've got the United States Championship between AJ Styles and Cedric Alexander.
AJ Styles.
Yeah.
AJ Styles in match of the night.
Well, easily.
Well, for sure.
You've got the Intercontinental Championship between Shinsuke Nakamura versus The Miz.
That'll be a fun match, but and still.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to take it off him yet.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a long-term thing. He's going to have it for a while. Then you've got the match everyone's excited for. Can't wait. Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan. I'm echoing Ken on this one. The storyline that everyone cares about.
Double.
I don't know.
Double knockout. Double count out.
I think I'm smelling some sort of Daniel Bryan schmaz finish here.
There's going to be a run-in from somebody, and it's not to like, oh, they're returning. No, it's just going to be someone's going to come in to try and interfere for whatever side they want to align themselves on.
Yeah.
You know, I can see it being Daniel Bryan to try and stop Rowan, but like he
inadvertently hits
Roman or something. This is like Roman, if you look at it, should easily be Eric Rowan like every day of the week, even on like 14 straight days of wrestling. But there's no reason for this match to happen, but it's for the storyline. I get it, but I'm not going to be excited for it. Then you've got the SmackDown Women's Championship between Bayley and Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I still can't get over the Roman storyline. Like, I have a good discussion with Pino Comics. Shout out to them during Raw about this. And, yeah, I'm sorry.
It's just bad.
It's just bad. So, Bayley and Charlotte, that should be good.
Yeah.
You know what? If Bayley is going to go full heel, by the way, get rid of the wacky inflatable arm guys at the intro.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Change up the music.
I like it.
No. Switch it up if you're going to go full heel. That's my thing.
Yeah.
But I like the heel that does my actions are my actions, and I'm not going to change who I am just because of what I'm doing. You know, like I like that. I like the fact, like when Stone Cold was a heel, he still had the glass shatter music.
Sure.
You know, he was still, I'm doing me. You know,
Sure.
Not that Stone Cold would ever say something like that. My God, but just saying.
No, but for me though, I'm going to say Bayley retains.
Yeah. The hot new heel.
And yeah, she's going to be
even though she lost on Monday.
Yeah.
Which is gross for a newly crowned heel.
Right, but that's why I think she wins and retains the belt. And I think that eventually it's her versus Liv Morgan. That's going to be the new program.
Okay.
I'm not saying Liv is going to do something tonight, as we're recording, but I say I don't doubt that that's going to be the feud to carry through Survivor Series.
Okay.
So I'll throw that out there.
Then you've got the Raw Women's Championship between Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks.
Becky's on the cover of Muscle and Fitness with Seth.
Yeah.
Becky's going over.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good match. This could be up there for match of the night,
Plus
too.
the video game's coming out. So
The stars are aligning too much for Lynch, but I think the feud continues.
I think Becky's definitely going to win, but it's not going to be like a clean pin in the ring. Like, there's going to be something that, like, the ref misses, like, foot on the rope, foot under the rope.
Yeah.
Something that, like, should inevitably break up the 3 count that the ref misses that continues his
some
feud.
sort of Charlotte
interference.
interference.
Something's going to happen that, like, it is able to keep this feud going down the road. Then you've got the WWE Championship match between Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton.
So this is why I think New Day loses, because Kofi still retains here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think Kofi does retain. I just don't see Orton beating him, and I think because it builds up too much to the storyline. Because I think they're ultimately leading for Hell in a Cell between those two.
I don't know what they're doing with this.
Which I don't know exactly how I'm feeling about it, but I think that Kofi is going to hang on.
Yeah.
And then maybe this finally sets up for the Big E turn at Hell in a Cell.
I don't know. I love, and I'm all for the Kofi Mania, but it's like they got to keep it hot. And it's starting to fade here because they didn't really catch it. I think that eventually, I see a Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Not a heel turn, but I definitely think that the heel will win the title from Kofi, and then I ultimately think Kevin Owens is gonna take it and run.
Kevin, he'll have it by Mania.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's going to be Randy Orton. Like I said,
definitely an early Rumble pick, Kevin Owens.
Like I said in the last, pay-per-view prediction we did, for me, Kofi Mania's run its course. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was great. Awesome. He finally got his first championship win, but like, it's not doing anything for me at this point. So I'm thinking Randy Orton. And then your main event, you've got the Universal Championship match between Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman.
Seth is winning, only to be greeted by Bray Wyatt at the end of the match.
I don't think he wins this clean. There is no way that they have Braun go down clean in a straight up, title match. So I think the Fiend comes out and interferes in this, and either it's a DQ win for Seth, or the Fiend puts Seth on top of Braun for the pin.
They definitely seem to be wanting to get Braun back to kind of where he was a couple years ago, where like he's just a monster. He's just he's huge. He's he's the guy you expect to win, and I don't see him losing clean in this match. If you want to keep building him back up to where he should be, and the inevitable title win. But like you said, I can see with the rumors of the Fiend and being Seth's next match at Hell in a Cell, I can see there being, like you said, some sort of run-in.
Could you just imagine Braun in the Firefly Funhouse?
Oh God!
I mean, Bray did go and tweet Eric Rowan when he was saying something about being free. So
there are no strings on me.
I don't know. I like what they're doing. The Bray thing is it's such a weird. The Fiend and Firefly. What's cool about it, obviously, is the Firefly obviously has all these like innuendos and little messages and stuff that you got to pay attention for. But I don't know. I don't get it.
I'm also going to go out on a limb here. The 24/7 championship will change hands 4 times.
Ooh, okay, we can play that game.
I'm going 4 changes.
So are you setting the line? Is that the line 4?
No, that's what I'm thinking.
That's what you're going.
That's what I'm going with.
Let's set the line at 5.
Okay.
Probably fair. 3-hour show.
Yeah, sure.
5 times.
Yeah.
I'll take the under.
I'm going to take the over then.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take the under in that. But that'll be going down on this Sunday.
Okay.
So definitely WWE Network or however you watch your wrestling pay-per-views. We're going to definitely recap it. Not next week's show, but hit us up on the hashtag ODPH. What is your picks for this weekend's WWE Clash of Champions? We want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jimmy Gazdick from Crimson Brethren and Floodlands, and you're listening to ODPH.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, what you got for that local minute?
Local minute, nothing really going on. It's all quiet on the local minute front. We are, of course, marching closer and closer to the start of Binghamton Devils hockey season. Home first game is a home opener Saturday, October 5th, 7:05 p.m. against the Utica Comets. That is, as we record, just 25 days away. So we're getting real close. So for more information, go to binghamtondevils.com.
So before we go into our locks and leaps, Pad, you're going to do a solo home run here, rounding those bases?
Yeah, solo home run, because I saw this on the MLB Facebook page, and I just could not believe this. It's a really bizarre stat. So for those who know, Bruce Bochy currently manages the San Francisco Giants and has been managing baseball teams from 1995 and is retiring after this year. So managed from 1995 through 2019. His current managerial record as we record is 1995 to 2019.
Okay.
So yeah, his years managed as we record matches his current managerial record. Now, obviously, with games left to play in the season, that will not remain the case. But for one moment in time, it is, and that is just really bizarre.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
A little bit.
I don't even know how to figure that one out.
A little bit.
All right. So that being said, it's time to pick week number 2 on the locks and leaps.
Yes.
So, Pad, would you like to start us off?
Sure. I'm going to start with my lock. Looking at the Arizona Cardinals Baltimore Ravens game, where Baltimore is currently a 13.5 point favorite. So I'm looking at Baltimore coming off that resounding win, and then you got Arizona, who tied against the Detroit Lions in week 1. I'm going to look at the Baltimore Ravens to win that game.
Okay.
And then switching to my leap, I'm going to look at the San Francisco 49ers Cincinnati Bengals game, where currently Cincinnati is a 1.5 point favorite, coming off of a loss for the Cincinnati Bengals, and then 49ers coming off a win. I think the 49ers are going to be able to pull that one out.
All right. Coach?
I'm going to start with my leap, which is going to be the Saints going into Los Angeles. 2.5 point dogs to the Rams. Saints win and cover.
I'll say you want to talk about them making a statement after the NFC Championship game.
That's
exactly one to do.
Exactly it. That's exactly what's going to happen. And my lock.
Okay.
I am putting my money where my mouth is. I called Pat out for this. The Pats going to Miami, 18.5 point favorites.
Whoa.
Give me the points.
Okay.
Whoa.
Miami loses. New England covers. Antonio Brown, career year. Don't even know if he's playing yet because it's Tuesday. 150 yards, 7 touchdowns. I'm just kidding. But if he's playing, he's going to score a touchdown. I love it. I'm hyped up. I'm taking it, Pad.
Okay.
New England in the cover.
Okay.
Side note, over under, Pat score more than 50.
Under.
Just over.
Just under.
Just over. They're not like as much as I enjoyed the one meme I saw on Facebook where the Patriots might be the first NFL team to score 100 points in a game. As funny as that would be, just over 50.
I honestly think if Miami scores, it is a field goal.
Okay.
With barely any time left on the clock.
Because I'm just running through the top of my head. The biggest blowout I think I can remember was when they played the Tennessee Titans at home in that snow game. Where it was 59-7 or something like that.
I honestly like a 48-3 game. That's just, I'm conjuring that up.
It will be something to see. I definitely know our Patriot fans on Twitter are going to sound in. I know Soul Wizard is, Wonder Soul. There's going to be a lot of people chiming in about this game because I know this typically, when the Patriots go to Miami, it's never a good look. But this is the one that we've had circled.
1-5.
Yeah.
In Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will it happen this time? I think Coach is going to be right. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, to be honest with you. So for me, I already locked it in. I have never left the bandwagon, never lost. In Baker, we trust. Circle them wagons. No, we're not circling those wagons because we'll be doing that on Sunday, but I'm not taking the Bills. Okay. Baker Mayfield, 2.5 against the Jets on Monday Night Football. At there. It's going to be a rebound game. I definitely see them winning by 6. I'll even give you that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to be a high-scoring game. I could see I could see it literally being 13-7. To be honest with you, I'm not going to buy in that much of the hype train.
I was going to say 16-10. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, it'll be a closer game than people expect. And since we are recording early, I am going to take as my leap Tampa Bay going to Carolina.
Whoa,
plus 7.
Okay.
Whoa.
So Cam Newton, I think, might win, but I got something about division games. And every time I've gone against Tampa Bay when I favor Carolina, Tampa Bay has found a way to win. So let's see if that Bruce Arians magic can work.
I know about that life.
Yes. So, I think for me, that's probably the safest pick because this one is a really tough week, to be honest with you.
It was not. It's not easy. I'm trying to avoid the plague picking any Giants game because I just don't want it to hurt that much.
Yeah, because there's so many questions. I mean, week 1 definitely had a lot of headlines.
Yeah.
Week 2 is when you really kind of find out what your team is made of, good or bad.
Or not made of.
Exactly. Well, that's what I say.
A defensive line.
It's one of those questions that, depending on who you're facing, this is when you really start getting the feelers out. And this is when you really start seeing, okay, how is this season going to go? If your team goes 2-0, you got to be feeling pretty good. If they go 0-2, it's time to start looking at the draft pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean listen, 0-2. The Giants were 0-4 and won the Super Bowl, all right?
Yeah.
Let's calm down on the 0-2 talk.
I didn't say how much you were going to look at the draft. You might just take a glance.
I mean, not to say that I wasn't on week 0 of college football looking forward to the draft, but that's just me.
Right. There's going to be so many questions going to get answered in week 2, so definitely stay tuned for that. Make sure to follow our Locks and Leaps coverage on our Facebook page. You can find that and all our social media links at OchoDuroParlayHour.com. The music you heard on this episode is that of Fair City Fire. They're from Austin, Texas. They're great friends of ours. We also have some great friends in Shout at the Robots and Floodlands who are going to be doing a concert for us Friday night, September 27th. More information on that is going to be on OchoDuroParlayHour.com as well. Under the music section, we're going to have all that information posted this week, so definitely check it out if you're in the area. You can find out all our social media links there, our blogs under Parlay Points, links to hashtag 607 Podcast, our friends of the shows, 3 Fat Nerds, Horror Zone 607, photography by Mike Blakesley. Shout out to him, our fellow Robercon co-sponsor of the badges. There's so much information on OchoDuroParlayHour.com. Just go check it out after the show because that's all we got for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J.
Thank you.
For your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Duffy.
Daniel Jones.
There you go.
All day, every day.
Didn't get it in yet.
Except Sunday, because it's time to circle those wagons and throw some people through some tables. I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast. We'll see you next time.